This mini-training was developed by the Maryland Restorative Approaches Collaborative, a partnership between the Maryland State Department of Education and the Center for Dispute Resolution at the Maryland Francis King Carey School of Law to support restorative approaches across Maryland. This presentation first aired May 4th, 2021 in a webinar hosted by the Restorative Approaches Collaborative. The full webinar is titled Restorative Approaches, From Reform to Real Social Justice and is available on CDRUM's Restorative Approaches Resources website. In this video, Dr. Muhammad invites us to take an equity-centered view of the social discipline window, which is central to many restorative practices.
I want to share with you a framework that many of you are already familiar with, and this is the social discipline window. We've Jacobanized this a little bit. For instance, instead of control and support, we've substituted the words connection and challenge. I hope I don't have to explain why, right? We've already talked a little bit about connection and challenge. But when we talk about the social discipline window, here's how I believe that it applies. When we talk about the not box, we're really asking questions like, by us showing up in the not box, that's low connection, low challenge, who are we making the other? Who are we actually showing up to by using our authority and saying, you are not worthy of my best, right? By me just going through the motions, right? What am I creating as unpredictable situations for you? When we show up in the two box, that high challenge and low connection, we have to ask the question, who do we believe needs to be controlled more than others? And I think the data is pretty crystal clear that it's our Black and brown boys and Black and brown girls that we're seeing, we believe as a society need to be controlled more than others, i.e. we show up in the two box in that way, right? It's also the box of my way or the highway. This is at best, it is the box of Joe Clark, right? That preeminent figure that was the feature of Lean On Me. At worst, it's Derek Chauvin, right? High challenge, low connection. I do not see you as a human being worthy of being honored, worthy of even being kept alive. And then of course, the four box, what does that mean and show up in terms of our social justice? I don't quote George Bush very often, any of the Bushes, quite honestly, but there's something that George W. Bush said or a speechwriter wrote for him that I thought was brilliant. And that is that there is a soft bigotry in the low expectations that we have for minority students. Again, there's a soft bigotry in the low expectations that we have for minority students, right? The four box, I would argue, is that box of white guilt and savior syndrome. I don't see you as a fully human being that's worthy of me working with you and holding you accountable, saying the hard things that need to be said or needed to be heard, right? That I'm gonna do things for you, right? And what happens to young muscles that are designed to carry their own weight and they don't, those muscles atrophy and they're no good to anyone. So, been doing a lot of talking here. Maybe I've been in the four box a little bit. And so I want to pull back for a moment and I'm going to ask us to actually do a little self-reflection. And then we're going to transition in just a moment into a breakout session. So where the magic can really happen in those small sessions. And so what I'd like for us to do is take about 30 seconds, maybe 45 seconds. And I'd like for us to really reflect on this question. And that is, how might your own restorative practices demonstrate equity and social justice? How have you already made that connection? Or how are you looking forward to making that connection between your own restorative practices and social justice? Let's take about 30 seconds or so, just to kind of get our ideas going.
This video is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 International License by the Center for Dispute Resolution at the University of Maryland, Francis King Carey School of Law.